Behind every successful child, there is always a silent story of sacrifice, a story we never see, but one that shapes lives forever. Imagine a mother who wakes up before the sun, works all day until her body breaks, and still returns home with a smile. A mother who skips her own meals, so her child never goes hungry. This is not just a story. This is a reality. And tonight we will walk together through the journey of a mother who gave up everything for her son. A journey of pain, tears, hope, and unconditional love. The clock struck 5 a.m. while the world was still asleep. But for her, the day had already begun. She quietly tied her hair, wore her faded old shoes, and left for work. Her first job was at a school. She swept classrooms, cleaned windows, and scrubbed floors until her hands ached. Each dollar she earned was carefully saved, not for herself, but for her son's future. She dreamed of seeing him in a better life, a life she never had. After hours of cleaning, when most people went home to rest, she rushed to her second job. At a small cafe, she worked as a waitress, serving coffee, carrying heavy trays, smiling at strangers, even while her body screamed in pain. By evening, her legs trembled with exhaustion. But when she walked into her tiny home and saw her son waiting, her tired face lit up with joy. No matter how broken she felt, his smile gave her strength. At night, she prepared food for her son. Sometimes it was just bread and soup. She placed the plate in front of him, pretending she wasn't hungry. "Mom, aren't you eating?" he once asked. She smiled gently and whispered, "Don't worry, my love. I ate already." But the truth was, she went to bed with an empty stomach. Hunger was her silent companion. Sacrifice was her daily routine. The neighbors watched her struggles. Some laughed, some whispered, "She's wasting her life. She should think about herself." But she never argued, never explained. She simply lowered her head and kept working, because her ears were deaf to the world. And her heart only heard her son's laughter, his dreams, his future. That was enough to keep her going. When her son fell asleep, she sat alone in the dark. She held her rough hands together and cried quietly, asking herself, "Will I ever give him the life he deserves?" Her tears soaked the pillow every night. But when the sun rose, she wore her smile again. Because mothers know how to hide their pain behind love. The boy grew older, and though his mother never complained, he saw her tired hands, her torn shoes, her swollen feet. He realized the truth. Every sacrifice she made was for him. And so he studied harder than ever. He worked tirelessly, carrying not just his books, but also the weight of his mother's dreams. He promised himself, "One day I will make her proud." Years later, the big day arrived. He stood on stage, wearing his graduation gown. The crowd cheered as he received his degree, but his eyes searched for only one person. In the back row, he saw her, clapping with trembling hands, tears in her eyes. At that moment, he whispered to himself, "This is not my achievement. This belongs to her." Months later, he held her hand and took her on a ride. She thought it was just another ordinary day. But when the car stopped, she saw a beautiful small house standing before her eyes. "Whose house is this?" she asked, confused. Her son smiled, tears in his eyes. "Mom, this is your home. You don't have to work anymore. You gave me everything. Now it's my turn to give you the life you deserve." The mother broke down, hugging her son tightly. Years of hunger, pain, and struggle had finally turned into joy. This is the power of a mother's love. She sacrifices silently. She gives everything without asking for anything in return. So if you have a mother, love her, respect her, thank her, because no treasure in this world is greater than the sacrifice of a mother. So me,